Couldn't this peace between these Gulf nations and Israel be part of the route to that two states?
We wish it would have been. The Arab Peace Initiative is very clear. I mean, that should Israel end its occupation of Palestinian land, should a final deal be achieved with the Palestinian people, then the region will normalize with Israel. That was meant to be an incentive for Netanyahu and for the Israeli government. Now you tell me Israel has more incentive or less incentive. I'll tell you the example. Since these two agreements have been talked about, Netanyahu has quadrupled settlement expansion. His promise to annex is only suspended for some time. It's a sword on our neck, and he's going to do it at any point in time. The house demolition is at historically high rate. So on the ground, this has been a license to actually turn the occupation into a permanent situation and to recklessly wreak havoc in everything.
But if the Israeli people, as a result of this, feel a little bit more secure in their homeland, surely they will be more minded to come to some accommodation with the Palestinian Authority. It's inching along there, isn't it?
Pardon me, I mean, feel secure because of Emirates and Bahrain have never fired a bullet or even engaged with Israel. There was no conflict between these two countries.
But not recognized Israel, the right of Israel to exist.
The conflict is with the people of Palestine, and the conflict has been lasting for 70 years, and the people of Palestine are on the land of Palestine. They live there. We own every house, every church, every mosque, every shop. We're going nowhere. The abracadabra of Netanyahu and Trump today, as if we have disappeared, is not going to last for a long time. These two Arab countries have unilaterally departed from the Arab consensus, but we still remain to have a consensus in the Arab world about the sequence of normalization. It has to start when occupation ends and when a final agreement, including Saudi Arabia for that matter.
Well, I wanted to ask you about that, because what do you make of this? And what are they going to be making of this in Tehran? And what are they going to be making of this in Gaza? You mentioned more rockets fired today from Gaza. Well, quite clearly in Gaza, they align with the Iranians. Now the Iranians see this build-up of what they deem to be their enemies in the region. Saudi Arabia, no doubt, involved in this peace move so far with Bahrain and the UAE. What about then on the West Bank? Are you more likely to turn to Tehran as well?
That's a very relevant question and the right question. Actually, what is happening as we speak in Washington does empower those maximalists in all sides, does give such a pretext to say, here you go, we told you. And it does disempower those who believe in international law, international legitimacy, those people like us who really think that rules should apply on all nations. I tell you, we have been weakened today.
Well, how are you going to answer those forces on the West Bank?
We will keep on. We will be principled. We will clench into international law. We will be so religious about multilateralism. And we will continue our journey, because this is not going to be undermined only by such a media stunt and a circus. It's a circus. It's an election circus. We understand. We understand the sheer pressure put on these countries by the Trump administration. Guess what? We were subjected to this pressure. I was in Washington when they cut all funding, defunded UNRWA, defunded our hospitals, when they closed our mission, when I was the head of the mission in Washington. Actually, they took my kids, a 7-year-old, Saeed, and a 5-year-old, Alma, my kids out of school in the middle of the school year. All this was blackmailing us into submission, but we stood tall. We stood tall because we have so much to gain out of peace. We are the side who want to see peace in the Middle East.
In terms, you mentioned the electoral politics taking place, of course, in the United States. If there isn't a change of administration, do you see any hope of progress?
Well, regardless of any change in American elections, we have been firm and clear. Our clarity is in line with international resolutions and with the UK position and the rest of the world. We will remain principled. There are two camps. There are the camps who are in the arena of circus. They are after personal gains. Netanyahu is trying to dodge the criminal charges, become the king of Israel, promising the public that he can actually have everything, the cake and eat it too, and Trump is doing the same. But there is the second camp. The second camp is those who believe in multilateralism, in international rules. Those who learned the lesson of the Second World War. We belong to the second camp, and we will remain so faithful.
Still hopes on a multilateral solution. Husam Zomlot, thank you very much indeed. Very good to see you here.